Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. This is going to be my official breakdown of the Deontay Wilder-Luis Ortiz rematch. As you can see, I was just watching the first fight again. All right, I actually just scored it. So I want to talk a little bit about the first fight. And then we're going to go into, what I think is going to happen in the rematch. All right. The rematch is going to be next week, November 23rd, next Saturday on Fox pay-per-view. Okay. So this weekend we pretty much got a break in boxing, which is great because we've been getting big fights every single week for like the last couple months. Okay, so the fight's gonna be next week, and then 2 weeks after that we did the rematch between Joshua and Andy Ruiz. Okay, so let's discuss the first fight a little bit and how we're gonna connect this first fight and what the results of the first fight and compare it to what I think is going to happen in the rematch. Okay. So let's go through it. I scored it. So in the first fight, first round, I gave the Ortiz. Okay, first round I gave the Ortiz. I thought that most of it, the first few rounds or so, Ortiz was just trying to parry Wilder's jab. He was parrying his jab a lot, landing his own jab, shooting some straight lefts. Wilder at this time wasn't really sitting down or anything. He was just trying to feel Ortiz out, more just trying to figure out the range and the distance and stuff. He was just trying to master that and just pretty much see what Ortiz got. That's what I got out of Wilder the first 4 rounds or so. Okay, so the momentum was really in Ortiz's favor in the first 4 rounds because Ortiz was the one that was being more active. He was the one that was coming forward. He was throwing more punches at the time, and he was displaying better defense, you know. So I gave the first round to Ortiz. The second round I gave to Wilder. The second round is the only round that I felt that was a swing round. Okay, I thought that was the only round in the fight that I thought could have gone either way. I think, for me at least, I've seen the fight so many times now. I went to the fight. I thought Ortiz was going to win the first fight. I think after seeing it so many times, I think the second round was the only round that I gave Wilder, and before the fifth round, I mean. All right. Third round, Ortiz. I gave it to Ortiz. I just thought he was landing more jabs, more left hands. Wilder was landing some shots here and there. Like I said, I gave him the second round because I think he landed a right hand in the second round. But at that time, Wilder wasn't really sitting down on the punches yet. He was just touching Ortiz here and there. He was just being patient. He was just trying to figure him out. Fourth round, I gave to Ortiz, and the fourth round, I felt that the fourth round was his best round up to that point. Okay, Wilder landed a good right hand early, but Ortiz closed stronger because Ortiz landed a few left hands in that round. Okay, I thought that was his best round up to that point. Also like his feinting in that round. I thought he had some good feints, feinting low and high, and it did throw Wilder off a little bit. Okay, now the fifth round comes. The fifth round changes the entire fight. Okay, because at this point Wilder started throwing the heavy shots. All right, he comes out early throwing a hook, and even though it didn't land, it had a lot of power into it. Okay, so everything he's throwing now is like typical Wilder. Like, this is the Wilder that we know. All right, the power behind his shots, the powerful left hook, the powerful right hand, straight right hand. This is the round where Wilder actually dropped Ortiz. Okay, so it was clear to me that Wilder was just trying to figure out Ortiz and exactly what he had. What was he going to do? And he was looking for the opening to try to counter Ortiz and throw that, because up to that point he wasn't throwing any power shots like that. So by the time he started to throw him in the fifth round, it kind of caught Ortiz off guard. And when he dropped Ortiz with that right hand, that was the most powerful right hand that he threw all fight long. He didn't really throw it that hard yet. Okay, so that was his game plan. He was just trying to wait until after Ortiz slowed down a little bit and the pressure wasn't there, and he caught him, and that was a good shot. So the fifth round goes to Ortiz. So up to this point, And we go into the sixth round. Sixth round, Wilder continues where he left off in the fifth round. Right, landed a nice left hook, heavy left hook to the body. Landed a couple another right hands. The momentum was in his favor at this point. So if you scoring it, up to this point, I gave Ortiz the first, the third, and the fourth round. I gave Wilder the second, the fifth round, which had an extra point for the knockdown, and I gave Wilder the sixth round. So as far as points are concerned, Wilder's up 1 point after the halfway point of the fight. So we go into the seventh round, and this is what changes the fight again. Okay, because Ortiz, uh, Wilder's still throwing heavy shots. But Ortiz counters his right hand with a right hook, and it hurts Wilder. And then Ortiz just exploded and went crazy, started landing a bunch of shots, heavy shots, a bunch of straight left hands. Wilder is hurt. Wilder was in danger, almost got him out of there. And, Wilder survived the round. Okay, going into the seventh round, Wilder is Ortiz. I'm sorry, going into the eighth round, Ortiz continues his onslaught. He's landing a lot of left hands, a lot of over the top left hand counters. He's hurting Wilder again, but Wilder's still standing. Wilder's still fighting. Okay, Ortiz gets that round. So at this point in the fight, I had Ortiz winning the fight, even though he got knocked down in the fifth round. I thought Ortiz was in full control of this fight. The ninth round, though, Ortiz looked a lot gas. Okay, this is when age comes into play. This is when you punch yourself out, and your opponent, who's has the youth advantage, and plus you've been trying to stop him in the previous last two fights. Wilder's still standing, and he caught a second win, and Wilder took control in the ninth round. And I thought Wilder dominated the ninth round, even though he didn't, really, really hurt Ortiz. Ortiz didn't look like the same guy. And in the 10th round, Wilder knocks him down a couple times, finishes him off, stops him with an uppercut, was landing right hand after right hand. Ortiz didn't have it anymore at this point. Okay, Wilder won the fight. All right. So going into the rematch, Ortiz had a few fights. Wilder went on to fight Tyson Fury. He fought Dominic Brazil. Okay. Um, Going into this rematch though, Ortiz is coming in a lot leaner. He's going to be weighing the same kind of weight. He's going to be at the same weight, but he looks to be physically in better shape. Okay. He's spent 3 months away from his family now. Okay. So he is looking. He's not looking like just to take another check for fight. He's actually trying to really win this fight. I don't think he's trying to throw the fight. I saw read a comment that Ortiz is just in there to lay down. I don't believe so. Okay, I don't believe so. I think Ortiz is in there to win. Okay, I think Ortiz really thought that his superior boxing technique and his experience was going to win him the fight. That's what I thought was going to win him the fight. All right, but the thing about Wilder is good at fighting technically sound boxers. He knows how to beat boxers. That's his biggest strength. Yes, his power is definitely a major factor, of course, but his athleticism and his ability to know what these technically sound boxers are going to do is his greatest advantage. Like, his style is very awkward for boxers. I mean, even if you feel that Tyson Fury won the fight, even if you feel that way, the fact that Wilder was able to drop him twice, almost knocking him out in the 12th round, goes to show that he knows what he's doing. It might look sloppy. I remember back in the day when I made videos about Wilder, I was more concerned about how he would look when he finally stepped up. When I was making videos when he was, 20 something and 20 something KOs or 30 KOs and stuff. I was making videos back then, and I said, yo, when this guy steps up, I'm not sure if he's gonna be that good. But the thing is, they gradually moved him up in opposition. Gradually, slowly. They didn't just throw him in there with the Klitschko's and all of the other top heavyweights at that time. No, they slowly built him up. He slowly got better with each and every fight. Now we all criticize him for it because other guys like Anthony Joshua came in and he was fighting top guys in the teens, but Wilder is at a point now where he's giving all of these experienced boxers all of the trouble and still knocking them out. You know, uh, we already know how good of a counterpuncher Luis Ortiz is, and with the power and everything, and he still wasn't able to get Wilder out of there, even when he had him hurt. He didn't even drop Wilder. And I believe, yeah, I think it was unfair that the doctors came in and gave Wilder more time going into that eighth round. Of course, I thought that was bullshit. I mean, even the commentary, Paulie Malignaggi was saying, "What the hell is this? What is he coming here checking on Wilder for? Like, Wilder was hurt, yeah, in the last round, but why is the doctor actually checking on him? Why is he giving him more time to recover?" So I thought that was kind of funny how they did that. I thought it was bullshit, but at the end of the day, he really didn't drop Wilder, even with that onslaught. So I give Wilder credit as far as having a chin and be able to take that many left hands from Ortiz and not drop it. So I do give him credit. I do think he has a chin. I don't think that many other heavyweights would be able to take that many punches in a row like that without being dropped. You know, say what you want about Luis Ortiz, even if you think he's overrated because he hasn't really fought anybody great outside of Wilder. He really hasn't. He really has. That's true. I would never argue that. I mean, I'm a big Ortiz fan, and I would never argue. I agree. Ortiz really didn't fight anyone that good, and even after he lost to Wilder, he didn't really fight anyone that good after that. You know. Um, So I understand that argument, but Ortiz does have skills. If you watch him with your own eyes, you can see that there's talent there. This guy knows what he's doing. That's obviously there's power there. This guy knows what he's doing. You know, so I have to give Wilder credit for that. All right, Ortiz though, I don't think people are giving him enough credit. Okay, I think the fact that he is trying to work on his speed and his athleticism and his conditioning was a major problem. Because if you look at him in the earlier rounds when he was still fresh, he was giving Wilder a lot of trouble. Okay, now I know in this rematch, a lot of people feel that because he's older, Wilder is going to do better. Wilder already has the experience in facing him, knows what to do. So I get that part. I get that part. I totally get that. But you got to understand, as long as Luis Ortiz is fresh, he's going to always be dangerous for Wilder. So I don't believe like a lot of people are saying that he's going to get him out of there in 3 rounds. I mean, listen, you never know. This is boxing at the end of the day. Maybe he will knock him out early, but I don't think so. Wilder, even though he has the experience in fighting Luis Ortiz, he still understands that Luis Ortiz is dangerous because not only does he counter well, but he has the power to hurt him. Wilder has felt his power. Wilder was hurt by his power. Okay, maybe he didn't get knocked out, but he was still hurt by his power. Okay, so Wilder, as long as Luis Ortiz is fresh, you still have to be very careful fighting him. I don't think Wilder's just going to be going in there throwing bombs right away. Not while the guy is fresh, because he got countered by Ortiz by throwing a right hand and he was hurt by it. So he has to be careful. So the reason why I don't think the fight is going to end early is because Ortiz is going to be dangerous while he's fresh. And being that, yeah, he might be older, he might be a year and a half older, okay, than from the time they first fight. But if he comes in the best shape, if he's in better shape than he was last year against Wilder, right? And say if he trained much harder this rematch, this time around, what if he's just a little better at fighting Wilder too? Maybe he was overconfident going into that fight. I think I said this in a video I did a few days ago about this fight. I think Ortiz was very cocky in that fight. You know? just look at his body language in the first few rounds. I think he felt like Wilder wasn't in his league as far as boxing and technical ability. Now Ortiz has a lot of respect for Wilder, so he knows that like this guy actually knocked you out. I think Ortiz got humbled in that fight, so now he's going into this fight like, look, I know what this guy can do. I know that this guy can hurt me at any given moment. I can't sleep on it. This guy has countered and knocked me out, and I'm the counter puncher. I'm the experienced amateur guy and all this stuff. So I think Ortiz is going to go into this fight smarter and possibly in better condition. Maybe a little older, but let's just say physically he's in the best shape he's been in his professional career. Right? Let's just say. Then that can mean a lot. That can mean a whole lot. It may not mean anything, but you can't sleep on it. I think Ortiz still has a chance of winning this fight. I think he has a great shot, and I think it's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. I don't think this is. I think people are getting this fight confused with Berman Stavern. Now, Berman Stavern was a guy that fought Wilder, and in that rematch, he was inactive. He looked like shit. Wilder got way better. This is like 3 years after they first faced off. And it was in, I know there's not much of a demand for this rematch, but I mean, come on. I mean, Ortiz was at least still in the mix. He was still active. Yeah, he didn't look great against Christian Hammer and stuff. No, he didn't. But Berman Stavern was never really that good to begin with. I think what made the Stavern fight against Wilder so good in the first fight is that there was a lot of unknowns. Man, I remember breaking that fight down. I picked Wilder in that fight, but it was like a 50-50 fight at that time because we really didn't know what Stavern had to offer anyway. He didn't fight that many good fighters. He fought Chris Arreola twice. But outside of that, he didn't have much there. He lost before. We seen him look bad in other fights. Ortiz was way above Stavern, always to me. You know? So, look, this is what I think. I think Wilder is going to come out similar to how he did in the first fight. He's going to show respect, and so is Ortiz. Okay, these guys is going to be, you've got an orthodox fighter fighting a southpaw. They're going to be trying to maintain that front foot position, trying to keep that foot on outside so they could throw their straight left and Wilder could throw his straight right. Those are their money punches, okay? Also, I think, they're going to be trying to parry each other's jabs, and that's how it's going to be a very, very technical fight again, okay? It's just that I think that Wilder this time is going to start throwing the heavy bombs early. I say by round 3, okay? I think he's going to fill him out first round, second round box a little bit, stuff like that, open up a little bit. But I think instead of it being the 5th round, I say Wilder's going to start throwing the heavier punches in the 3rd round. 3rd, maybe the 4th round, okay? Maybe even earlier to that. I don't know. Wilder does have experience with fighting this guy now. So I know Wilder is going in there like, I want to perform better in this fight. But he has to be smart too and say like, yo, this guy actually hurt me. The right hand, the right hook counter is what hurt him. It wasn't a straight left by Ortiz. It was the hook that hurt him. That is going to be the money shot. Ortiz needs to be working on landing that punch again. And you know what? You know what's crazy? You know how hard it was to land that right hook? It was so hard to land that right hook that even when he landed it, he still took a right hand from Wilder at the same time. Like, you really, and this is why I'm talking so much. I'm talking so much about the first fight for these reasons. Because all of these things are key factors for the rematch. The straight left hand wasn't the punch that hurt Wilder. The overhand lefts wasn't a punch. It was the right hook that hurt Wilder. Another thing is, I think this time around, Ortiz need to find a way to work a little bit more inside. Get on the inside of Wilder. Don't let it be rangy. If he can get points, if there's points in the fight where he can get Wilder to the ropes and start digging to the body a little bit, and try to sneak some uppercuts in there, like Wilder did to him to finish him off, that'd be great. I could go back and think to the Brian Jennings fight when Brian Jennings was trying to smother Ortiz because he couldn't outbox him on the outside. So Jennings started to get in close to Ortiz and smother him. But Ortiz at points would create some space and land those uppercuts, and that's what hurt Brian Jennings back then. This is when Jennings was undefeated. This is when he was a little bit more relevant. So I think he needs to work on that because we didn't see no inside fighting in that first fight. The only time I remember Ortiz really being in on the inside is when he had Wilder hurt and he was throwing combinations to the body. Okay, that was the only moment in that seventh round when I saw Ortiz really in the pocket. You know, so I think for Ortiz, he just needs to work on his pacing. Okay, he needs to be stronger in the end of this fight. He needs to be stronger later down the line. Okay, he can't overpunch himself and just tire himself out like he did in the first round. He has to be very careful and selective with the punches he throws and the volume he throws. He has to be very selective because he's fighting a guy that's younger than him, that's fresher than him. Okay, a guy that beat him and knows how Ortiz fights. Wilder knows how he fights already. So he has to pace himself a little better. I think being that I gave Ortiz those earlier rounds, he was throwing a lot more punches. He was throwing a lot. And he was burning himself out. And that's what Wilder was there to do. And this is why I don't think Wilder is just going to blow him away early. It's not going to work that way because Wilder, if he's smart, even though he's beating this guy, you want to you want him to burn him out and finish him off later. All right, it doesn't really matter in what fashion you're doing it, in what round doing it. It's about winning the fight and getting a knockout. So this is my prediction. I think Wilder is gonna win this one. Okay, I think he's still gonna get a stoppage at some point. Um, but I think even though it may be a little bit tad bit earlier than the first fight, I don't think it's gonna be that much early. I don't think he's gonna blow Ortiz out away like early in a round, like early in the fight. I think it's gonna be like eighth round knockout. That's my prediction. I'm thinking like eight rounds, because I think Ortiz is gonna be too dangerous while he's fresh. But Wilder is gonna pick up the power early and put pressure on Ortiz this time. All right. But if Ortiz makes Wilder respect him by like hitting him with some big powerful counters early on, it will slow Wilder down and make Wilder be a lot more careful, and it would make the fight go much later. All right, but I have Wilder winning this one by a knockout later in the fight, though, in the second half at some point. I'm thinking around like ninth round, like earlier, but not that much earlier. Okay, I think with Wilder, I think the fight, because I remember that in the first fight, there was points where the crowd was actually booing, which was stupid. I remember being there that night. People were getting tired. They didn't like the fact that it was so technical. They didn't like the parrying and the sneaky shots. They didn't like that. They wanted action. As soon as the fifth round started, that's when the action started to really come. Okay, but I think we're gonna get the action earlier in this fight, and I think it's gonna last less. But I still believe that Ortiz, I wouldn't say it's 50-50, but I would say more like 60-40. Like, I think Wilder's going to win, and I think he's going to win by knockout. But I think Ortiz still has a great chance of winning this fight. But I got Wilder winning this one by KO. Eighth, ninth round is my prediction. All right. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that dislike button. Let me know what you think in the comments. And I got more videos on the way. Peace.